Well, our next speaker for the day is currently the Global Community Ambassador and the Region Head, Asia Pac, for the DevOps Institute. He is deeply committed to connect the humans of DevOps and modern IT to advance the skills, knowledge, ideas, and learnings of the DevOps community at a global scale with the best practices. He's going to come to your screens right now to share his ideas on accelerating the secure DevOps hybrid skills in the new normal. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to heartily welcome the one and only Mr. Dheeraj Nayal.
This is Dheeraj Nayal, and I'm delighted to be here at DevOps India Summit. And although we are not able to meet in person this year, but at the same time, I'm delighted that the reach of DevOps India Summit has gone beyond geographies. So this year, we have thousands of professionals, practitioners from the global DevOps community joining at DevOps India Summit. And I'm here having a lot of fun by going through a lot of session with great content, with great speakers. And I'm sure you are also having the same kind of fun. And personally, I'm really glad to share my perspective around the topic, accelerating the secure DevOps hybrid skills in the new normal. So before I move ahead, I would like to give a brief introduction about myself. I'm currently the region head for APJ and MEA region at DevOps Institute. Also holds an additional role of global community head at DevOps Institute. One of the early CDF ambassadors. So CDF is Continuous Delivery Foundation, a non-profit organization dedicated for the continuous delivery movement advancement globally. And more importantly, I'm a continuous learner and DevOps enthusiast by heart, just like each one of you. So really delighted to be here and would like to quickly give a brief overview about DevOps Institute, because DevOps Institute is really take a lot of immense pride to support DevOps India Summit every year as a long-standing partner. So DevOps Institute is a global association headquartered in USA and is being dedicated to DevOps professional education and research with a worldwide network of industry partners and social engagement ecosystem for professionals. Our mission is to advance the human's element of information technology by providing them with new skills, knowledge, ideas, and learning. As part of our global ecosystem, we have a huge global community, across our more than 50,000 members distributed in more than 150 countries, and providing them access to a lot of resources, which is available completely as an open source. And also as part of a global ecosystem, we have a broad professional certification, which is being delivered by our reputed partners. And we are very proud to have Excellentro as our premier partner in India, consistently delivering all broad portfolio of DevOps certification by DevOps Institute to thousands of professionals in India and nearby regions. We also run various flagship events. So you must have already heard about Skill Up Days, our virtual summit that goes on every monthly based on different domains. And of course, at the end of the year, we have Global Skill Up Day, our flagship event, which brings in all the elite industry leaders sharing much of the insights. And every and each initiative remains as open source and community based. Also, we are very dedicated on the research and body of knowledge side. So we have a upskilling report, which I will be sharing some of the insights as part of this session. We also have a dynamic collective body of knowledge known as playbooks. And we have launched a couple of playbooks. Initially was DevOps Journey playbooks, again, completely open source and community-based initiatives. And we drive a lot of content thought leadership with the support of our global network of DevOps Institute ambassadors, which are currently close to 200 worldwide, again in more than 100 plus countries, supporting the humans of DevOps to advance with new skills, knowledge, ideas, and learning. So now, before I move forward, as part of the topic which I have shared, I would like to promise two things. One is I'm going to share facts first and guidance later. And then I will share some key insights that how COVID-19 crisis has caused challenges for business, families, and individuals worldwide. And subsequently, there has been an accelerated and bold move by many organizations to shift towards digital channels and new ways of working. The acceleration in digital transformation has resulted in rapid increase in new roles like DevSecOps engineer, along with DevOps engineer. And I'm really excited about site reliability engineering because we also have a dedicated certification which has already supported and advanced various professionals with the help of partners like Excelantro, and also making secure hybrid skills available because these are the much needed skills which are required in this highly digitized world. This eventually is paving way for prioritizing the virtual collaboration for DevOps practitioners and leaders because of the need to continuously learn and be resilient in the face of change. So that's why in the new normal which we are talking about, the choice is ultimately yours. Either you gain those hybrid skills, or either you think that you are going to remain constant and the world is going to remain the same like it used to be. But that doesn't seem to be the case based on some of the facts I would like to share with you. So, as part of gaining your DevOps hybrid skills, let's share some of the things which I found really interesting as part of this session. So, before this COVID 19 actually became a thing or a pandemic, many of the enterprises were even ignoring what digital transformation is doing to their business or to their industry or to the ecosystem as a whole. And many of the enterprises were not 100% invested in the digital movement as such. But then hit the new normal with this pandemic and with the new normal of remote, collaborative, distributed teams. And today we stand on a critical juncture to enable and support our organization towards putting the right technology to work. According to the World Economic Forum, by 2022, over 60% of global GDP will be digitized. An estimated 70% of new value created in the economy over the next decade will be based on digitally enabled platforms. So that's the new normal we are talking about. And I really salute all the frontline health workers, the essential workers which are there, which has really supported in this drastic pandemic which has hit worldwide. But there are also some of the unsung heroes which has been working day and night in the background. These are our tech community. These are you and all the professionals who have joined in from various parts of the world that has been supporting all the necessary and essential services to be working in this digitally and remotely connected world. So, as part of how COVID 19 changed the state of digital transformation and talent, this graph I found it really interesting because it also shows how exponentially it has been changed, but also the world is going even more digital because of this crisis. And the old industry era thinking needs to be abandoned once and for all. That's my perspective. Because as we enter into a new decade, one thing has become clear: human transformation is as important as digital transformation. This becomes more and more apparent as enterprises around the globe start DevOps and other digital initiatives, only to find out that lack of skills is constraining them more than lack of technology. We also know that the definition of skill is not limited to technical or mechanical skills. Humans are complex and multidimensional with a spectrum of interoperable skills that are necessary for professional growth, and organization skills are very much needed. So multidimensional skills and the aspects of it was part of my last year talk as well, which I shared in DevOps India Summit. I'm really delighted to share some perspective that's how that world and overall skills and hybrid skills has emerged from last year to this year. So, what are the key challenges when we say the current organizations are being facing, specifically in the new normal, or also what comes as part of the next normal? Of course, you have decentralized IT team, and specifically now you have remotely distributed team. So it's definitely one of the challenges being faced by the enterprises. And then you have a urgent need to keep on improving your software deliveries, your application deliveries, your new feature deliveries, and you also have to simultaneously align whatever you are doing individually as a team, as a department, with your enterprise goals, because then how you are delivering value continuously to your customers as well. But the most important aspect which I'm covering as part of this session is you need to gain those DevOps hybrid skills to overcome some of these challenges, because there is a huge need for the individuals and the enterprises to upskill their workforce or upskill yourself. So, in the face of this new normal, or with the onset of pandemic or the crisis, the IT organization most likely to succeed in this new normal should spend time future proofing their IT workforce strategy. And this is not just a statement. This has been proven now with stats and as well as researches which are showing these patterns and anti patterns. First of all, let's look at some of the security based talent shortage, or DevSecOps based talent shortage. So, this is our research which comes annually by ISC Square, which keeps on sharing this research on annual basis. And I found it really interesting, because if we will look at it and more in a broader sense, a shortage in the global cybersecurity workforce continues to be a problem for companies in all industry and all sizes. In fact, this shortage remains the number one job concern for those working in the field. That's not surprising given that the regular mega breach we keep on hearing on the news coming out from across the industry domains. But in an era of high profile data breaches and devastating cyber attacks, cyber security impacts every individual and every organization. But research also shows that those in the field are optimistic that those challenges can be overcome. If organizations take the right approach to growing the workforce and building strong cybersecurity teams, inclusive of DevSecOps talented resources, then talent becomes the multiplier. And that's why when I was talking about some of the opportunities which are available for you in terms of this crisis, is we do have choices which are available. Although there are many of the grim news which keeps on coming with IT restructuring, with some of the layoffs which are happening, but there is always a silver lining because of the skills shortage which is being faced by the industry currently. And that's where the DevOps hybrid skills comes into picture. Now this, as of now, might not be making a lot of sense, specifically when we are looking at the left side of the figure, in which you have a E-shaped DevOps skills attached with a T-shaped DevOps skills, and then there are segments of it. That's where I'm going to expand as part of this session overall. But first, let's talk about some of the industry trends. So I'm really personally really liked some of the research which is being shared by Deloitte. And this is a part of the Deloitte analysis, in which they talk about how DevSecOps incorporates secure cultural tools, processes, practices as part of each of the DevOps processes, right? So if you look at the four key elements, what are the four key elements part of the ecosystem? It's the people, it's the process, it's the technology, it's the governance. Now, the governance came into late as part of the DevSecOps movement, but now it's definitely being recognized. Now, if I kind of expand this overall analysis, what it states is to enhance their approaches to cyber and other risks, forward-thinking organizations are embedding security, privacy, policy, and controls in their DevOps culture, processes, and tools. As the DevSecOps trend gains momentum, more companies will likely make threat modeling, risk assessment, and security task automation foundational components of product development initiatives, from ideation to iteration to launch to operations. DevSecOps fundamentally transforms cyber and risk management from being compliance based activities, typically undertaken late in the development life cycles, into essential framing mindset across the product journey. Moreover, and quite interestingly, DevSecOps codifies policies and best practices into tools and underlying platforms, enabling security to become a shared responsibility of the entire organization. And that's why the primary focus of the industry as a whole is not on the technology, not on the governance, not on the process side, is primary on the human side. Because human behavior is the fundamental economic gear of every business. And DevSecOps is definitely not excluded from it. And why I share it when the industry focus is primarily on humans is to see from one of the flagship events specifically around the security domain is RSA conference. And this year they have categorically kept the theme around the human element. And they specifically says that these experts approach the security challenge from a variety of directions because information security or SecOps or application security or DevSecOps or security policy and management security to development, security training, plus many more are essential when it is required to gain these hybrid skills. And that is why now the business leaders, directors, board level executives, risk officers are now keenly interested in DevSecOps. And they are starting with focusing on the human element. And I will also share some of the perspective from the 2020 DevSecOps community survey, which DevOps Institute was certainly a partner and supporter. And it's one of the great surveys which is available for the DevSecOps community, covering majority of the geographies and a wider domain of the practitioners as part of it. And one of the things which this survey talks about is the happier developers and the grumpy developers. Because happiness matters in DevSecOps. And specifically, you look at the training part of it, because that's where we are talking about those hybrid skills. Because happier developers work in organization with more automated security tools and better training, while they also demonstrated greater adherence to security policies. And how these happiness developers are really getting transformed? Because it's the happiness factor which is driving the transformation. Because we keep on talking about the culture in DevOps, but culture cannot be forced, right? And it only flourishes when these happy developers also transform the grumpy developers into the happy developers. Because grumpy developers leaned into the opposite direction. These developers demonstrated low job satisfaction rates, wouldn't recommend their employer, and had less access to training, which you do not want, of course. And when we talk about the unicorn organizations which are embracing DevOps maturity practices or taking it really at the elite level, the major aspect which, if I talk about, which are also marked in bold in this, is the part to success for successful DevOps security is changing the underlying culture to embrace it. And how you do it? By continuous learning. How you do it? By continuous training. And that's where upskilling becomes the need or the attention, which is it was not needing as of now, but now it's the of utmost importance. And now finally would like to share some of the perspective around the Enterprise DevOps Skills Report, which is the industry's flagship research report dedicated for the industry patterns and anti-patterns around the DevOps skills. So one of the top findings which we found out as part of this report is DevOps transformation journey is still very difficult. And that's what we have been seeing in some of the insights from other researchers, other reports as well. But at the same time, finding and attracting skilled DevOps humans or professionals continues to be the biggest challenge again in 2020. And I will also share how it has become much more difficult now with the onset of this pandemic. But more importantly, how you need those hybrid skills and why upskilling need attention now. In fact, right now to be enabled in your organization as well as professionally, and how the emerging practices and domains and roles like SRE are coming up strongly as part of these hybrid skills. Because as part of the modern IT professional, you need to have a core skill matrix. And we call this matrix as the hybrid skills matrix because you need to have human skills, which are essentially your soft skills, but you also need to have process and framework skills, automation skills, technology skills, functional skills, and all are equally important at the same time. Because if you look at some of the top 10 must have skills, just look at the top three or five as part of it, which are there. So collaboration. Now, collaboration has been deemed as the value for IT in the new normal. Interpersonal skills, which are really important specifically now when you are working in a remotely distributed team. Problem solving, sharing and knowledge transfer, and flexibility. These are some of the top 5 human skills which you need to have, or you need to work if you are not considering focusing on it. And when we talk about the functional skills, the first must have skills is the security practices. And that's what I've been talking about, that why now DevSecOps skills becomes the number one skills which needs to be focused, specifically for the developers as well. And when now we move to the process and framework skills, it's almost aligned with last year as well. When we talk about the source control models and processes, talking about the process flow analysis, SDLC, agile, experience with performance tuning and monitoring, these processes are shaping behavior, which are subsequently driving the cultural change within the organization as well. And technical skills, which definitely the tech communities keeps on trending as well as keeps on monitoring. So CI/CD toolchain skills along with the cloud platform and cloud environment. And I would not be surprised by next year, cloud will take the number one position as part of it based on the tremendous cloud adoption that has been happening with the new normal. But more interestingly, look at the adoption around SRE. So SRE in 2019 was bare minimum in terms of adoption. But this year it has risen to almost to the third highest category after Agile and DevOps adoption. And next year, just like cloud, SRE adoption will be almost, if not higher, around the DevOps adoption for sure. So when we talk about the modern IT professionals, why they need hybrid skills, it's because all these skills are equally important. And that's why you need to have these skills in balance. Because essentially, what we are calling as part of it, because I keep on telling the hybrid skills, because if I go back about talking about the hybrid jobs, so the hybrid jobs was first coined in 2015 to mean jobs that combine skill sets that never used to be found in the same jobs. Since then, 1 in 8 job posting is highly advertised according to Burning Glass research. And that's why human process knowledge and automation skills are equally important. And of course, you can download this report. It's a 50-page report and you will get much more insights as part of it. It's completely free and you can download your personalized copy as well. And of course, we have the next year's survey currently open. Please feel free to visit our website and submit and contribute. And now I'm going to talk about some of the aspects which were part of the DevSecOps talent, which I was talking about, that how you have the silver lining. So when we look at how you got the choices, because in the coming year, as per the Microsoft survey, you have more than 100 million jobs, specifically around the DevOps and DevSecOps. So certainly there is a lot of silver lining available as part of it. And if I talk about since we are talking about the DevOps India Summit, the IT skills demand in India is soaring. And these are the leaders which are talking about, these are the initiatives from the governments which we are talking about, which are aligned to provide you these choices. So it's the right time to gain these hybrid skills, because then only you are aligning with the jobs of tomorrow. Because in the World Economic Forum report of jobs of tomorrow, aligning with the LinkedIn report for engineering and cloud computing domain, DevOps is the job for today and tomorrow. I mean, just look at the emerging jobs in the top 10 skills. You will realize majority of these roles and skills are around DevOps or around DevSecOps as well. And that's why the enterprises, 38% as per the upskilling report, which did not have a formal upskilling program, need to gear up to get these upskilling programs aligned, because that's the need which is being required for the organizations to be aligned with this rapid digital acceleration. Because there are different ways about how you can draft your upskilling programs around reskilling, outskilling, education as a benefit. And that's where your DevOps skills move from an I-shaped to T-shaped, and then you become an E-shaped professional, which I showcased early in the part of the session, because these are the cross-functional multi-skilled team members which are not focused on specialized individuals, but are also measured on customer value. And that's why these hybrid skills, which I again showcased as part of the early sessions, are really necessary to provide you these E-shaped skills. And that's why we have a broad portfolio around the upskilling certification, which of course is delivered by our premier partner, Excelantro, right from the DevOps Foundation to Site Reliability Engineering Foundation, which you can take advantage and align to become an E-shaped DevOps hybrid skills. Because it's the humans that makes the ultimate big difference outside of the support of the organization leaders. And if you're gaining the hybrid skills, you are challenging the organization to change and to become more agile and to become more digital. Because when we talking about the upskilling in the new normal, all enterprises are embracing cloud, hybrid IT environments, and DevOps methodologies. And that's where Evelyn, who is also our chief research analyst at DevOps India Summit, have shared these three core skills which are required from the IT leaders around the DevOps domain: collaboration, empathy, and upskilling and certification. So you really need to be a part of this. If you are not considering it, definitely you are missing out a lot of aspects of it. Because ultimately, the future of work is more digital, the future of work will be more flexible, and the future of work will be more collaborative in nature. So I'm hoping that this session gave you much of the insight. Certainly, you can become a free member of DevOps Institute. Just visit our website and you are able to gain much more access as part of it and become a connected community member. And sure, there are community events like Skill Up Days by DevOps Institute. You can again register for free and engage with like-minded professionals. And if you have any questions around my session, which you would like to reach out later on, please feel free to drop me an email or reach out to me on LinkedIn. Would be happy to address as part of it.